Today I'll walk you through the Atlas room. This is a CTF where you hack a computer, a Windows computer. So let's take a look. We'll hack a Windows server. So first thing we'll need to do is start your machine. So click Start Machine and click Check. And that's it. You'll see this little machine pop up. This is the attack box. This is the actual software that you'll use to hack the computer. Next, let's go to the first step. And this is scanning our targets. So just like if a burglar would look at a house, they would look for possible ways into the house. A hacker might look at the server, at the computer, the target, and look for open ports. This is sort of like looking for a house, open windows. And in the same way, a hacker will look for open ports. So they can connect to the computer through those ports. So how does it do that? Well, it uses a tool called nmap. This is a command line program. So they will start this thing called a terminal. It's a command line interface where they just type commands. Let me enlarge the font here. And these commands, and it's a very simple interface, simple as you can imagine. In there, they can type commands. For example, you can type the QMI command and it will tell you the username. So in the same way, there's this command line program called nmap, and you can use this to scan a computer. For example, nmap, and then the targets. So in this case, the target is written here, this address, this is our target IP address, these 4 numbers. So we copy that. So we click on this little thing here, paste it in, and then we paste it in the terminal. So now what it's going to do is scan this computer with this computer address for any open ports. So that's like scanning a house at a certain address for open windows. So it will take a second or so to finish that. And then it will tell you the open ports. So you'll see there's 2 ports open here. There's this port and this line above here. You'll see open and open. And every port has a unique number. So there's a certain thing at the port and there's a unique number. Now with nmap, you can specify some extra parameters. So with nmap, there's all kind of parameters, like you can set the verbosity, so this becomes more explicit. You can do the -pn scan, or you can specify a specific port. For example, maybe you want to check port 80, and you'll see in this case that port is closed. So they want us, the first thing to do is to scan with this pn flag. So we can do that. We can simply run the nmap command again, and we ask the pn flag. We'll take a second or so to scan the computer. And they don't actually want us to type anything. They just want us to do the flag. So we click check. Then they ask us which ports are open. So 2 ports are open. And we see that here. We see 2 ports are open. We did that nmap scan and 2 ports are open. Now this little thing is in front, but it looks like there's a tree in front. So we can simply copy it. Or we can copy both lines. We can copy both lines, and this is for readability. And you'll see there's 2 ports open, and they want us to sort them from low to high. So sometimes they do that in TryHackMe questions. They want a certain order. So even though the other way around would still be correct, TryHackMe doesn't accept it. They want in a certain order. So in this case, the lowest port first, that's 3389. And then the port 8080 is open. And you'll see it's open. And then it asks what does nmap think is running on the higher of the 2 ports. So the second one, this is the higher one, 8080, and it thinks it's running HTTP-proxy. So if we copy that, you'll see correct again. Now, here's another question. Just click check. There's a lot more to scanning, basically, is what they're saying, and you can do all kind of flags and all kind of tricks. But scanning with nmap is basically checking the computer, which is either a website or just a general server, for anything that might be open. So now they come to the enumeration. They're going to do some little more fun with this nmap. So what they did is they found this HTTP proxy. Now you might know HTTP from the web. Sometimes in the URL bar you see http://somewebsites.com. So that's the HTTP language, the web language. That means that on this port might interact something with the web. So what we can do is open Firefox. That's the default browser with the attack box. So we can use this to serve websites. But what we're going to do, by default it always wants to open TryHackMe. What we're going to do is we type http://, then we type this internet address, So that's 10.201.84.219 with the port number, which was 8080. You might remember here, 8080 HTTP proxy. So, and you'll see HTTP proxy, the web, is running on port 8080. And now it comes with this login menu. Now, we don't know the username passwords. So let's continue in here. And you'll see they want us now to use this command line tool curl. So let's click console here, and let's open a new tab to keep this information open. Sometimes it can be useful, otherwise you might do a lot of scrolling in the terminal. So we can open a new tab, and we can do curl with the address in the forward, and then we do verbose. So curl is like a command line web browser. It doesn't really do anything except download. It downloads the data from the web. So what would be given to the browser to show the web page, it reads it as text. So if we do this command, you'll see we get some error here. And from here, we can find out what program they're using to turn their computer into a web server. So you'll see different information here. It's connected to it on the ports. We get the slash page, so the standard slash URL. This is the link. We use curl, so this is the program we're using in that version. Then it tells some other information. And here we see TinVNC. So this is a web service. It's very old and is used to for this web page. So let's take a look, and we'll search for an exploit for this TinVNC. So to do that, we've had search Floyd, TinVNC, and then we find this exploit. You see authentication bypass, which is exactly what we want. We want to bypass that login screen, and you'll see it has this link. So we now found it, and they said search it here. We already did. So let's go to the next question. Then they want us to download that vulnerability. So what we're going to do is we copy this link, right-click, copy link address, and we're going to paste it. And then we're going to use a tool called Git. You'll see here github.com, git blah, blah, blah. So that's a tool developers use to download the software. Now this sounds harder than it is. We type command git, G-I-T, clone, and then we paste in that address. So that's all we do, git clone followed by that address, and we press enter. And you'll see that starts downloading the software, the exploit. If we go to the places, you'll see it downloaded that software, and we have that Python file inside and a README. So it downloaded from the internet using this single command. Now, you might wonder why we do this, because this is a software that we'll use to bypass that login screen. So we're going to enter that folder. So it downloaded the folder CVE blah, blah, blah. We'll see if I list the files and folders, it has downloaded this folder. We can enter that with command CD. That enters the folder. Then you'll see we have that exploit inside. We'll make it executable, just as to show here. So we do chmod +X with the executable. And then we can run it. Now, I'll move myself aside here. We can say execute it. And you'll see if we do it without anything, it's just gonna show error, blah, 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 requires the host, that is the server name, or the IP address, the address that you saw before, and the port we saw was 8080 for this computer. So let's say read through the menu and whatever. So what we can do is actually run this exploit, right? So we can say target the host, which was 10.201, the target address here. So it will be different on your computer. And we type that, and the port that was open was 8080. So let's do that. We press enter. Now it's running the exploit, and then it found the username and password. So we found here the username of to log in and the password. So this is possible because the software, the TinVNC software, is old and vulnerable. That means that you can use another software called an exploit to bypass the logging. So we just did that. We run this exploit and we bypassed the login, and that's why we got the username and password. So we can skip this. This is fine. Now, because we have that, we can actually log in. So if we open the browser again, we could now go to the web address again. So that is the address we typed before. That was 201. And this address is going to be different when you TryHackMe. So it will be the target IP address, which will be completely different, but it's the same ID. You can copy it or type it manually. But the port will most likely be 8080. So it's going to come with that login screen. But now we have the username password. You'll see that is in the terminal here. We have Atlas and this password. We can copy it, double click and copy. So we can now paste this in, the username Atlas and the password, and we log in. And you'll see it will take a second. And now we are inside this Ting VNC screen. VNC is often used for remote desktop. So let's say we type something here and we connect. And you'll see it connects to the Windows computer. We now hacked this Windows computer. So, but this VNC, it is very slow. It is not ideal to use. So what you can use instead is X3 RDP. That is a bit more stable and usable. So you'll see they show here the command. So this is what we need. And we simply copy it and double check that the address is the same. So you see that's the same. We have the username password. We obviously need to change that. So let's get out of this browser. We can close this or just leave it open. And we'll type up the command. We'll paste it in. Now keep in mind we need to paste it in this little thing first. Then we can paste it or we can modify it here. So we need this. Okay, let's do it the other way around. So let's paste it in here. Then we need to change the username and the passwords. So the username here is Atlas and the password here. So we simply change them. And if I make this full screen, so it'll be readable. So we'll change that in the command. So that we change the username to Atlas. And the password is going to be called up the heavens with some characters changed. So we might as well copy that to avoid any typos. And we paste it in. And then if I press enter, it's going to use this program X3 RDP to connect to that computer. And it is simply another way for a remote desktop. So you'll see it's loading and we are now inside the Windows computer. So we can click check. And you'll see this takes a moment. It's not so fast, but we are inside the Windows computer. You'll see it's faster than the VNC in the Firefox before. We can now use this Windows computer remotely. Now we are still a default user. So what you'll often want to do, or a hacker would want to do, is to become administrator on the computer. And because the default user, they don't have full permissions in the computer. So they often want to become administrator. They'll try to become administrator. So what we can do is to go to this TMP directory, and then we clone this repository. So we clone this website, the same like we did before. So let's go to the terminal, and we'll go to our folder TMP. Now we can leave this open. Let's make a new tab. We go to the folder /TMP on the attack box. And then we type again git clone, and we copy this download link. So right click, copy link address, and we're going to download that software. And that software will allow us to become administrator. So we're downloading it. You'll see it downloaded in that folder. And now this TMP folder, it is linked to the remote desktop thing that we had before, because it says here the drive /TMP share. And when we run that command here, it says drive share TMP. So they are automatically linked. That is just part of this room. Makes life easier. So we can already access this software directly from the computer. So in the Windows computer, if we go back to this Windows computer, we can then run that software. So this is done. Now it wants us to open a PowerShell window. So PowerShell is the Windows command line. If we go here, you'll see Windows PowerShell. Simply click on it. And then if we list the files and folder, let's see, we don't see directly that folder. So we might need to go to that folder. And it says, okay, we opened the PowerShell window. And then we have that PS1 program that we can import. So we can do it with this command. So we can copy. And then we paste this into the PowerShell. And then sometimes it's a bit buggy. I'm gonna copy it and then paste it. Or just type it manually. So that's //ps_share/ CVE 2021-1675 /CE 2021. Make sure to don't have a typo. -1675. .ps1. So ps1 is the actual program. It's a type of file, ps1. And if you run this, you'll see it asks us to run. We're going to click run R, run once, press enter. And now that shell is run. So that's good. It started, but we don't see any output yet. What we need to do, we just imported it. We now need to run it, and we can do that with this command invoke-nightmare. So if we do that, invoke-nightmare, it's gonna ask nothing. You'll see it's use the default admin and passwords, and then it added the user as a local administrator. So okay. So far so good. Next, what we can do is to run PowerShell again, but we'll run it as administrator. But what would be the most easy, but they want us to do instead is use the command line. So they want us to run this command, and then yeah, that's it. So let's run this command. Let's see if we can paste it now. No. Okay, so we'll type it manually. Start process, we're gonna start PowerShell. And then we're going to run it as administrator. That was a start process, cmd -perp rum s, and then -prudential admin, and admin with a 1. So that's this admin, and we have the password. So let's run it, and we'll use the passwords. Press enter. And that's going to run PowerShell as administrator. We click yes. And there we go. Now we can run some commands like /groups. So we run that. And you'll see it's a bit messy, but you'll see we are part of the administrator group now. We are now an admin on this computer. So that's it. Then what they want us to do is to dump all the passwords of the users. And typically the passwords on Windows are stored as hashes, NTLM hashes, which is a kind of encoding. So they're not storing literally the passwords, they're storing those hashes. Those hashes can be cracked, so you can go from hash back to passwords, but the passwords in Windows are stored as hashes called NTLM hashes. Now this might sound a bit like gibberish, but basically they don't store it literally, but they put it in another format called a hash, which is simply a bunch of characters. So what we can do is to download it from the releases page. So we might simply paste it here and see, you'll see we need to get it on there. What we can do is we can download it on the attack box and put it in the TMP folder. So we can start a browser and we'll download this software called Mimikatz. This is what we can use to dump all the Windows hashes, the Windows passwords. So you'll see by default, they're gonna bully you about this. We don't care, see details. And then we want to ignore the risk because we are opening this inside TryHackMe. And it's safe to use this software. So from this page, we can download that software. We need to download this zip file. You simply click and you'll see it's completed. And then we'll move it to the TMP folder. So we can do that with that terminal. So we'll go to the downloads folder. And it didn't download there. I don't know where I put it. Let's take a look. Let's move this thing aside. And we go to the downloads folder. Or to the downloads list. We click on this open thing here. And you'll see it downloaded to the root folder. So let's move it from root to TMP, because then we can access it on the Windows computer. So we'll go here to /root. There we have this Mimikatz program. We're gonna move it. So we'll move it to the folder /tmp. You'll see /tmp that can be accessed by the Windows computer. And let's press enter. Now it moved it. We'll go into CMP and we're gonna extract that zip file. So we say unzip that mimicuts program. You see we unzip inside the terminal that zip file. It's an archive and it's gonna get all of the files of mimicuts outside of that zip file. So I press enter and you'll see it got all of the stuff out. And it seems that it didn't do that in a directory. So let's do that again. We'll make a folder called minicuts. Then we'll move that the zip file inside mimicuts. We'll enter mimicuts. And then we'll unzip again because it's easier if it is all in a nice folder like it is now. Okay, let's go to the Windows computer. And here we can click OK, that's fine. And we unzipped it. So now we can actually use it. So we'll go to the administrator shell. So that's this black one that we just opened. We're not going to use the other one because we need to be administrator to dump all of these credentials. So to do that, we'll type / keyspline /share /x64 /mimicuts.x. Or if you download it inside the mimicuts folder, like I did, you could put it in between. Actually did both. So I'm going to press enter and you'll see mimicuts has started. This is a tool you can use to dump Windows credentials, the NTLM hashes or the passwords. And we always need to run these two commands. Now, don't have to think too much about it, but they always need to run this. You'll see if I run this command, it says OK. And then we type token elevate. And now we can actually use mimicuts. So we can click OK here. And to dump the passwords, we run the command lsa dump ::sum and press enter. And you'll see it's dumping all the Windows passwords, the hash in hash formats. So we have various users. We have this we have this user admin with the admin hash. That's the password stored in the hash format, the hash NTLM format. It is exactly the password. It is just a different format, just like how you can put a number in or a message inside a Telegram. You can put passwords inside this NTLM hash. So if we scroll here, we can find different passwords. In here, they want the actual administrator hash. So we can simply scroll up here. And in here, you will find the password of the Windows administrator. Here we go, the Windows administrator. We can copy this, select it, press enter. Then we open this little box here. You'll see it's there. Copy it. And we now have that answered. And then they have some more information. So that's all it takes to complete this room. You see, we just completed this room. We just hacked that computer. So it had some ports open that we could find those with NTLM. Then we could bypass the login using an exploit. And then once we got in the computer, we could escalate our privileges, which means we could become administrator. And then we dumped all the passwords of all the other users on the computer in this CTF.